Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's having an absolutely wonderful day so far today. Sorry that the stream got slightly delayed. Sometimes the real world decides that I do not need to have time to do things for several minutes. Or in this case, like an hour. But, I mean, there's only one thing to do, and that's hopefully actually have my internet work today. As we jump into these, I keep calling it the Magic Academy, but the Sorcerer's Academy. Which should be a rather, it's likely going to be a rather tricky area to actually clear. I also need to remember which control scheme the Magnolia uses, or Magnolia uses, because I play a lot of different Metroidvanias. It's very easy for me to get confused and mixed up between different ways of controlling the game. Between hitting the different dodge buttons and the different jump buttons. All the different attack buttons also get really confusing after a while. I remember I can make it under this wall. And I want to go to the not entirely intended pathway first. Because I usually feel, I find that you taking the, I also apparently can't talk today. I find that taking the intended pathway is always a little bit boring. And that the slightly less intentional and usually slightly more difficult to get to pathways tend to be a lot more entertaining. Yeah, that did just open up a single door. Which I suppose lets me get up there. I suppose that is a valid methodology to get up. Just sneak around a little bit. Oh, I thought they were an enemy. Lilac, you are alive. You know me? That uniform. It's from Miss Lucic. Miss Lucic, Academy's finest. Evacuating students. Beware. Can you take us to her? Miss Lucic, error, caution, dangerous. Priority, rescue, occupied. Okay, so there's something going on with the Magic Academy that's leading to an evacuation of some sort. That's at least what it sounds like. It's at least what it sounds like, is some sort of evacuation. I don't think I can break that floor from here. I want that item, though. I can see the item. I just can't get to the item. Which is deeply unfortunate. Because that would be very nice to be able to get every item around. Okay, so this area seems to very much be heavily based on warping around, which is always an interesting little tidbit. Okay, there is an item over here though. It's a charmed fragment. 5 health. 5 health always adds up. I'm never gonna be upset about getting extra max health in, especially a game with the level of difficulty that Magnolia likes to throw out. Right, these are not grappling hook points so much as they are... Okay, apparently that's an entire pathway. Oh, do these point in the direction that they warp you? I think they do point in the direction that they warp you. Because I see those white lines that seem to go... or seem to be angled where we're going to get sent. This is definitely a confusing area. Some of them require me to manually trigger. Yes, some of the warps require me to manually trigger the warp. some of them just seem to be happening for no real reason other than it can happen. Okay, that sends me way down here. that is also a slightly hard to look at move, like screen scroll when it warps me. I'm not sure how much I actually like that screen scroll that it's throwing at me. Okay, I apparently cannot make it onto the roof. That is also slightly unfortunate. I want to get on the roof. I definitely want to just movement jank my way around this game, because it lets me do that. The game should probably not let me do as much movement jank as it does, but it really doesn't ever stop. Bloodstained stuffed toy. A toy imbued with protective magic. It was often seen in the company of one of the Academy's students, but its owner's whereabouts are unknown. Reduces damage taken by 25% when inflicted with different status effects. Suppose that's probably a useful item if I expect to keep getting hit by status effects, but I would strongly prefer to not keep getting hit by status effects. And then that type of enemy, it looks kind of like a knight of some sort, does appear to be on the trickier side. This academy has a sorcery tower for research, a garden and dormitories, and more text I did not have enough time to read. Eliza, what's wrong? The homunculi at the academy have turned mutant. We have lost a great many students. No, if only we could have... I'm guessing our mission is going to be to go rescue people. I've saved as many as I could and brought them here. However, there remain 6 students further ahead that I have not been able to reach. I really do think we're going to go get to play rescue for those students. There's word that Professor Liza, one of our faculty, saved one, but she has yet to report. Be careful. That's also very suspicious. Normally in a Metroidvania, I've found that if it mentions a specific number of things missing, we have to collect them. And if it mentions a person missing, they tend to either be a boss fight or be the trigger, or be like in the trigger room for a boss fight. Please let them know it is safe here. Tell them if they can reach me. Or tell them they can reach me, Isabel. And please be careful. Professor Liza has not been heard from since her rescue attempt. That really does sound like they're going to be kind of in a bad situation. Either probably are the boss fight. That would be at least where my brain goes to start. I can probably actually finish full clearing this previous area. That's still a terrifying enemy to have to face. They're not the strongest of the enemies, but they are still quite problematic. Oh, there's 2 types of these. One of the one does the little laser beams. One of them, which... How can I get that item? Because I'm looking for a warp into the closed off area. I'm looking for a warp into probably the closed off area right below me here. I'm guessing that's the warp. I don't actually see a warp pointing that direction, which is a little bit strange. Maybe this warp? Okay, it is this warp. Since it's just... There should always be a warp pointing the direction we need to go. Pillar materials, that's not actually terrible. I will absolutely take some free materials, because that will save me just a lot of problems, or a lot of just having to grind for materials. get my upgrades. I'd like to purchase some additional relic slots at some point, but that does require quite a few materials in order to actually pull that off. Since they do get exponentially more expensive. If I just fast travel, since we have this shortcut, if I just fast travel back to Central City Bench, I don't actually remember how much more relic slots actually cost. But it was, yeah, 4,000 materials. Plus there's all these additional upgrades that I can probably want to buy at some point. The special ally or alloy parts, especially because those upgrade my different attacks, are likely a good idea. If I had to guess. Let's see. I do think I want to buy at least one more magic vial for the relic slots. Though, that's what I mean by they get more expensive, because that's close to 5,000 materials. And the relic refinery is also useful. Because as I get more scrap, I can upgrade all my abilities. Yeah, increases scrap obtained. I think I want the extra damage when I'm on the ground. 5% extra damage feels very good to me. Yeah, 5% extra damage feels quite good. Which I think that will add up after a while. And then I can keep moving through the magic enemies. Okay, apparently there's still items in this area. Off to the right. Since I don't see it marked as blue on the map yet, which means we're definitely still missing things. And I always want to find every item in the game. Especially in a lot of Metroidvanias, I tend to get very close to 100%ing. A lot of them, I just hit the up button to try to heal. What game would that even have been from, that instinct? Okay, I see the pathway, or I see the item. I definitely should be able to make it over there. That bit of movement tech does not seem impossible or even that unreasonable. That is a lot of damage. That's one of the challenges of, especially Ender Magnolia, even more so than Ender Lilies, is that everything just deals so much damage. I keep trying to do 2 jumps and 1 dash, and it's dash, jump, dash for horizontal movement in this game. I need to definitely make sure I'm doing my movement correctly. 1, 2, 3, dash. 1, 2, 3, jump. 1, 2, 3, dash. 1, 2, 3. That's still pretty straightforward. It's another charmed fragment. Like I said, I'm not going to ever probably complain about getting just a little bit more max health with everything dealing just absurd amounts of damage. It's only mildly concerning how much damage everything deals. Though, this room's also marked as incomplete. I don't see anything in here. There's not like any items sitting on the ground, and it's not a particularly massive room either. I don't think there's anything up on the ceiling. If there was something up on the ceiling, I think I would be able to notice it just hanging out up there. And then, the Sorcerer Academy is an institution dedicated to nurturing sorcerers. The text is way too fast. I probably should have sat at the respite. Actually, I should have sat at the respite before I tried to go through the area, since just a little bit short on health. just a little bit. Actually, I wasn't short on health. I was definitely short on healing. Is there anything hidden in the wall of the elevator? I would not put it past Ender Magnolia to hide something in the wall of the elevator. That is definitely right in the range of things this game will pull on me. Ooh, I mean, I suppose it is called the Sorcerer's Academy. I'm not sure I'm surprised by running into sorcerers in the Sorcerer's Academy. Though, they seem to have both fire and ice spells. Okay, that's a very big room. I was not expecting that large of a room. I was expecting a big room, but I think I was expecting a transition first. Ooh, and electric. That would be blaze, freeze, and shock. That would be all three of the main elements that I think this game has represented by these sorcerers. I think a good starting point is to just clear out as much of this area as I can, at least horizontally, so I have a sense of what I need to do. Warning, no running in the hallways. Unruly behavior will be reported. Who are they reporting it to? Yeah, I wonder who they're reporting unruly behavior to. Okay, I can get up on the ceiling. Yeah, this game really does just let you get away with entirely too much slight movement jank. Not that I really have issue with that, but it is somewhat amusing. I am taking way too much damage from every single hit. As far as I can tell, I don't have things that actually, like, actively increase my damage output that much. Oh, is this one of the 6 missing students? Thank goodness. Are the faculty still conducting rescues? I'm guessing that's 1 out of 6. Okay, I want to go further to the right. But I think I need to actually be at least a little bit careful with how I move over here. Because I'm suspecting that there might be an item here. And or I just wasted my time coming out here. I suspect it might actually be the latter. I was kind of expecting the game to have an item sitting on this roof, just due to how much it likes to just tuck items into random little nooks and crannies and rooftops all over the game. But it appears that is not the case in this area. Which makes me a little bit disappointed. Though, I suppose we did rescue the first of the 6 students. It's definitely getting somewhere. Though, there are a large quantity of locked doors in this room, it appears. I did traverse the entire horizontal, or the entire accessible horizontal area. I think that's a good starting point. I also just fell straight into basically just doom, it appears. Yeah, falling all the way down there is a little bit bad for my survival rate, it appears. Yeah, that appears to be slightly bad for my long-term survival. That was a lot of very strong enemies, and I'm also apparently very bad at dodging the first attack that these Guardian, like, Knight Paladin enemies throw out, since they just kind of charge in from off-screen and immediately attack. Makes it a little bit hard to dodge. Can I please take out this enemy? Yes, I can, but I'm also now at critically low health. Which is... I don't like being at critically low health. Where am I getting warped to? Someplace with even more enemies. There are a lot of enemies here. I suppose I do have the game's difficulty on hard also, so I can't entirely complain too much. I also apparently never noticed that there was a second warp in that room. I'm not sure how I never saw that. Okay, that elevator looks suspicious. Granted, I think everything in this game looks suspicious to me. Because, well, everything is suspicious. Especially from just a dealing damage standpoint. Because this game is terrifying with how much damage every enemy wants to deal. Does this take me... Where does that take me? I don't actually know where that takes me. I should open the gate before I inevitably get eviscerated by this enemy. Since I think the more gates I open also, the slightly easier this area is going to wind up getting. Since I'll be able to at least move around a little bit more easily. So, I am at... Okay, was that... I would have survived, except I caught on fire. Catching on fire is slightly bad for your health. I'm pretty sure. Now, I haven't actually verified that fact outside of the game, but that just feels right. That catching on fire is bad. Probably bad. Okay, I also can get stunned, and the frost wizards are hard to get into range where I can actually attack them when they're in those, like, narrow hallways. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That is... Yeah, these enemies are still definitely on the stronger side. Yeah, definitely on the stronger side still. And my health bar is way too small. There is an enemy off to the right that throws the fireballs, because this is the one that just defeated me. Though I have like more shortcut path down here. That does come in extremely helpful, I think. Because it's just a shortcut. I don't know where most of these pathways lead, but they are all over the place. Have I been up here? Where does this take me? This takes me to the middle of, like, 4 separate enemies. I see one of the students up above. I need to rescue the student. I was trying to heal. Yeah, I was trying to heal, and my heal almost went off before I ran out of health there. What really has me concerned is I'm not sure I could actually follow that same path again without getting at least a little bit lost. Okay, my health bar is entirely too limited. Okay, I need to focus one enemy at a time, because the enemies all feel like they have the same amount of health as me. Except there's one of me and like 50 of them. Which is kind of problematic. And by kind of problematic, I mean exceptionally problematic. Since I can't trade damage with any of the enemies in this game. I basically have to play pretty close to perfectly. I don't think this is the path I took last time, because I don't remember having to fight... this wizard. I opened a door to and or from basically nowhere. Okay, this feels more like the path I took. Okay, I think I want to focus actually on the left side first. Oh, I can open a shortcut here. Okay, I can take out one enemy. If I dash... Yeah, dashing in this game does put out the fire faster. I suppose that is a useful little ability. I can't get to the student, though, since that door is definitely still locked. Definitely still a locked door. I'm not sure that if that's a good thing. I'm guessing that this is the way to unlock the door, though. I need to make sure I have my owl friend thrown out. Otherwise, I do take a bit more damage because I can't... Or I deal less damage, so I take more damage because I'm in combat for longer. Professor Isabel, thanks. Okay, that's 2. 2 out of significantly more than 2 students that need rescuing still. I didn't see a warp up to that upper area. I did see a warp, I think it was in this room that I hadn't taken. No, it was this room that I hadn't taken. I apparently can barely just not jump up the right side. I'm not sure if this is actually a useful warp, but there is a lever up here. That opens a door by the entrance to the area. I am still low on health. Chronically. Yeah, this game is not very easy. It's certainly a challenging little game. Or not even a little game, it's certainly a challenge. I want the item that I opened the door for, though. Every item I can pick up is going to be exceptionally helpful in the long run, I suspect. And I'm getting a lot of materials from this area as well. Sorcerer's Gauntlet. Increases the intensity of status effects inflicted on enemies by 20% when attacking. An ancient gauntlet that was once held by the Sorcerer's Academy. Gifted by House Frost, it is an ominous artifact said to be made using resources found in the Land of Origin. I mean, I don't really use I don't really take advantage of status effects very often because most of my attacks don't really inflict status effects. And the ones that inflict status effects are a lot weaker. And I don't think the status effects really last long enough against bosses to be worth that additional time investment in how long it'll take me to defeat a boss if it deals. Yes. The knights that are apparently still very difficult for me to dodge their dash forward and swing attack. Okay, I'm definitely missing warps somewhere. Oh, this is probably the intended way to climb up onto the roof. And not the slightly janky way I did it before, which was by doing, like, movement off of that ledge. Yeah, because I don't think I've dropped into this room at any point. Yeah, I suspect I haven't flipped either of these levers, though I'm not sure. Okay, that one opens a door below me. And then this one, I'm guessing, opens a door back out of this room? Okay. How do I get to that room below me that I just opened a door in, though? Because I see warps, but the fact that the map doesn't show me where the warps are pointed does make it more difficult. At least by a fair margin. Okay, let's not get clipped by the ice sorcerers. that would be somewhat unfortunate. Also, the fact that they teleport, that makes it very hard for me to consistently get behind them. Ah, there's 2 of you down here. You should not keep trying to attack me. I won't attack you if you don't attack me first. But I will absolutely attack them. Actually, that's not true. I will definitely attack them because I know they're going to attack me. Okay, how do I get into that longer hallway? I don't see a warp that seems to be pointed in that direction. Because all of these warps look like, or at least all of these warps to me look like they're pointing more to the right. And I'm trying to figure out which warp leads into this room off to the left, because I'm guessing I need to flip that lever in order to open the doorway. But I don't see a warp that would go there. Granted, I could also just not be looking at the warps correctly, because it still doesn't show me warp directions on the map, which is highly unfortunate for getting around. And I just need to... There's probably stuff down the elevator. I'm going to need to go down the elevator at some point, preferably with more health, but I think I saw another student tucked into one that we need to save, tucked into one of these rooms. Further right as well, and there's still definitely doorways that are locked over here. There's definitely still locked doorways in this area. Yeah, because behind that locked doorway is a student, which means I need to also find a warp into the small room to the left of the locked door. I'm guessing that's the lever I need. Or at least that's my best suspicion. But I really don't see anything. I can go into this room. That'll take me over here. I don't think that warp to the right takes me anywhere useful either. That's the problem, is these warps don't seem to actually be leading me anywhere useful. And why is it that every game feels the need to have a warp maze? Because there are so many Metroidvanias that have a area which is basically just a not difficult to navigate maze, but a maze full of just teleports everywhere that make it exceptionally difficult to actually figure out where you need to go. I suppose if I go into... Is this going to take me into the room? It could be one of these warps, potentially this one. No, that one takes me too far. Since the warps are pointing in the direction that they take me, I just can't find a warp that takes me in either direction I need. So either there's a trigger for the warps that like opens up more warps or changes where they're pointing, possibly down the elevator, or I'm just completely blind. I'm suspecting it's probably the first and not the second. Since, yeah, I think I've hit every single warp that's actually accessible. Because I don't think that warp... Actually, that warp might... I don't think this warp actually takes me anywhere useful either. It's kind of the problem I keep running into. I can find a lot of warps. Oh, this warp does take me somewhere useful. I'm not sure, because there is a lever here. I think this will open up the pathway left. I think this will open up the pathway that leads more to the left. Though... that still doesn't get me into the locked room over to the right. And I suspect I just need to keep just randomly warping around until I stumble into the warp that takes me to the correct spot. Since it's not... I don't think it's either of the warps in this room, because one of them leads me to the left. Which, while it does, that one does lead me around, it's not to the correct spot. I think the lower warp in this room also takes me to the wrong spot. Yeah, that just takes me here. Is the upper warp in this room taking me anywhere useful? Okay, that is the warp I was missing. Just going slowly and methodically through every warp in the game, I suppose, will eventually have it drop me into a useful spot. That lets me rescue the third of the students. Professor Isabel's still herself? That's concerning. I know that the Blight, the Fumes and the Blight can infect people and kind of take over their minds in this game, so I think that just adds more credence to my theory that Professor Isabel, that is a interesting enemy. Apparently they just shoot lasers out of their eyes. I'm not sure what to think of that. Okay, so some of the robots are evil. Some of the little friendly robot guys are apparently evil. Oh, that looked like the green color that threw out looked like a healing field. So I'm suspecting that they can heal, which is concerning that the enemies can heal. I suppose that I can't necessarily complain given I also heal myself, but I have as much health as the enemies do in this game, which is problematic when... Yeah, it's problematic when you have as much enemy as or as much health as the enemies, and there are several times more enemies than player. Okay, I can't just fall down the elevator shaft, because gotta love the fact that there is not actually any fall damage. That is rather useful. But also one enemy at a time. Take out the healing. Take out the robot that's apparently... Yeah, the enemy definitely had healing health, or healing shown on its health bar there. Yeah, 390 something. Yeah, 349. That's a lot of healing for an enemy. And also, there are apparently a lot of the... I don't know if these are robots. I think they're robots. But there's a lot of enemies that shoot the laser beams out of their eyes in this area. I see a pathway leading off to the left, but I also saw a lot of items in this tall central room. Among the frost sorcerers, there were those that dreamed of new technologies and possibilities. These dreams led them to the door of House Milius. I was one of them. One could say it betrayed House Frost at the lowest point in its history. Frost and Milius. The two are said to have walked a common path once, but the ways of a sorcerer and the views of an arcane smith illustrate the differences between the two. That's concerning. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Luckily, these enemies don't seem to be too difficult to defeat. There's just a lot of them. And they deal a lot of damage if they hit me with their attacks. I shall never forget the day the rain of death first fell from the skies. The Blight brought ruinous devastation down upon the nation, turning all it touched into undying vehicles of madness. In its wake, homunculi were tasked with constructing the Empyrean Parasol and the great barrier of origin magic that shields us erected. Only through the unification of House Milius' arcane engineering prowess and origin magic was this feat realized. It is our proudest moment. Hain Milius, Lord of House Milius. Are we just getting a bunch of the story context for House Milius? Normally I can grab onto the side of moving blocks and or of just items and objects in this game, but apparently not today. Why did it disable my ability to grab onto the blocks, side of the blocks? That feels off to me. Okay, apparently I should not try to fall down there, because most of these background objects are apparently not actually solid. Yeah, a lot of the background platform-looking things are, from what I can tell, not actually solid platforms that I can stand on. It's only the moving blocks and these. I'm pretty sure I can drop through those platforms even. Yeah, I don't actually do have enough vertical to get up there. Oh, that's potentially going to be useful. Taking the upper pathway to the left. Taking the upper pathway to the left could potentially come in quite helpful. Okay, I need to take out the flying enemies. One at a time. Also, their attacks apparently just move forever. Yeah, so they just keep moving, and they also deal a still pretty absurd amount of damage. The land once ruled by the ancient peoples was annexed by a foreign power and divided into 6 nations. In time, the people of these nations came to be plagued by the wrath of the verboten domain. Hey, that's from Ender Lilies, where it is said that the resentment of the ancients still festered. Land's End, founded in the north by a lord with an army of great kings, was situated closest to the verboten domain, and suffered greatly at the hands of the Blighted. Maybe don't try to be evil? That platform also goes down a very long ways. Yeah, it seems like we're just getting a giant pile of lore dump from this area. The Grimoire provides teachers at the Sorcerer's Academy. At one time, human teachers were more commonly employed at the Academy, but in time, the repeated experiments upon the living bodies of sorcerers yielded homunculi sorcerers that far surpassed humans. Increases damage dealt by 25% when I'm inflicted by status effects. That's also potentially quite useful. I also have a shortcut up to the top, it looks like, from there. Since I have the other side of that elevator unlocked, I think. Actually, I should check that. Since it's fairly straightforward for me to get to the top of this area. Okay, opening that door is useful. Since I had the room unlocked, but not fully. I think there was... I didn't want to go down. I wanted to go across. I thought that was going to move sideways. I think that there's an enemy on one of these platforms. Yeah, there's an enemy on one of these platforms over here. That dealt a rather large amount of damage. I'd very much prefer to not take a rather large amount of damage. I just used 2 of my heals instead of 1. The Grimoires for more items that I can craft is, depending on what items that unlocks, is going to be potentially very useful. Because there are some very good items that I know that are unlockable. I need to make it onto that platform, that upper moving box there, which I think requires me to come to... I think that requires me to come to the right, trigger this one, and go back to the left. I think that's how I get over there. Or at least I think that's going to be the most consistent way for me to get over there. 1, 2, 3, there we go. Since that block is... It's not in a difficult to get to spot, but it is still in a slightly weird spot. Okay, there's just an That's not an enemy. It's Ender Lily's music. Yes. It's not safe here. Why does that look like us from the previous game? Is something the matter? I've been in deep thought. The blight plaguing this nation. I've been looking into it. I believe I may have a connection to it. The blighted fumes that began to emanate from the depths, from the land of origin, when the reign of death came. I hear there's a device, the Pillar of Purification, that can cleanse the blight in the land of origin. But it appears not to be working. The Pillar of Purification. Now, to look into the frosts. There are mutants everywhere. You need to get to safety. I think if this is us from the previous game, I'm not worried about them not being safe. Don't worry, I'll leave soon. I hope she knows what she's doing. I'm assuming they probably do. Just given the previous game. I think they are going to look into the frost. Oh, that probably explains why there were 2 or 3 of the... I think I've seen 2 of the lilies from Ender Lilies kind of just hanging around in seemingly random locations. So I will take a Charmed Fragment still. Never hurts to have a little bit more in the way of just health. My health bar is actually getting very large in this game. Not that it matters when everything still deals 90% of my health bar per hit. That is a rather unfortunate amount of damage. Okay, we are making it a very long ways over. Long ago, work at Arcane Factory. Old homunculi. Clang, clang, clang. Then throw away old homunculi. Humans also. Clang, clang, clang. Then made go away. How ironic. Garm, why were you in the lower stratum? Don't remember, but saved by little arcane smith when thrown out. Run to lower stratum together, but Garm caught. Work in mine. I see. I'm glad I didn't dispose of you, Garm. Do my best for disposed friends. Yeah, we seem to just... The homunculi in this game don't seem to be particularly well taken care of. They seem to be kind of just used and then immediately thrown out. Which is not great. They're still making more homunculi? Unbelievable. Okay, this is an entirely new area? Yeah, that's an entirely new area. Which is kind of concerning. Because I haven't cleared the Magic Academy yet. And this area feels even more dangerous. This jetpack type enemy is rather strong, it appears. Actually, I think it's more than just rather strong. I think that's one of the more terrifying enemies I've come across in a while. Since they're fast and deal what appears to probably be enough damage to take me out in one hit. Just saying. Okay, there's definitely a platform down here. I'm not sure I like how many enemies there are down there, though. These little landmine things at least aren't an overly difficult creature type or enemy type to deal with. They don't have too much health. I just have to not be close to them when they activate. Hey, look, Levi's down here. What is Levi doing here? Levi? Oh, it's just you, Lilac. Don't scare me like that. Lost in thought? I was thinking about an idea for a new arcane instrument. Wouldn't it be neat if there was one that let you zip around way up? Sort of like riding on the fumes. That reminds me. I found something, but I don't know what it is again. A curious item unearthed by Levi. There are so many just random little things that Levi keeps digging up all over the map. It's kind of interesting. I think I've seen something like this before. Well, I'll be. Is that perfume? Whoa, don't just pop out like that. Perfume. That thing ain't meant for the two of you. Too bad it's busted, though. Wouldn't mind it myself. I hear a lot of sorcerers like 'em, too. Interesting. I guess it's no use to you guys, then. Maybe I'll give it to Gordon. Hold on a second. There's still a chance we could fix it. Oh? Okay. I guess that's that. Okay, I'm gonna go check some other stuff out. I think we're finally making progress on whatever quest line this is. See ya. I think we're finally making progress on whatever quest line that those items are useful for. I'm guessing there's an item up top. Yeah, that looks like an item. I can't get to it from this side, though. Yeah, there's definitely an item up there. I just think I need to go around from the left. That would be my suspicion. That would be my suspicion that we need to just come around from the left. Okay, I need to be careful because, like every other enemy in this game, these deal basically my entire health bar every single hit. That would probably be a secret pathway. Yes, secret pathway tucked into the wall. There are a lot of those in this game. 500 scrap is honestly pretty good. I need to do a better job of collecting scrap as I'm battling my way through all the areas in this game. Scrap, the fact that it lets me actually upgrade my abilities is still very, very useful. Or the fact that it lets me upgrade my relics is very useful. Select a point and push the button. On my breaks, I can't help but wonder, for what purpose was I created? Apparently, according to the guy on the right, push a button. Probably a bunch of times repeatedly. Okay, that's not actually a terribly difficult... Okay, those enemies aren't actually terribly difficult to defeat. I just have to be careful with them because, like everything else in this game, it deals 99 billion% of my damage, of my health bar, every single time I take a hit. Okay, can't apparently just dodge straight through the fire. What? Oh, is it an enemy spawner? It's a robot spawner, okay. I suppose that makes some level of sense. There is an extra heal over here. That is probably going to be very useful given how much damage I just took. Or not. Because I could just also run out of health. Though I feel like actually completing the Magic Academy that I kind of got, or Sorcerer's Academy I got halfway through exploring might be the better idea. Take it one area at a time. That is a really long ways over. Because there were still I think we've saved half the students so far from the Magic Academy, which would mean that there's still... Yes, we've saved 3, it looks like. Which means there's still 3 hanging out. Presumably getting, or presumably having a rather rough time of it, given just how many enemies are in this area. I want to take out the one that has ranged attacks first. One enemy at a time. I do think that actually remembering to use all my abilities is also probably pretty good, because I have this ranged attack that I can pretty much always just toss out at things, which is a highly effective methodology for just defeating enemies. I should have tried to jump into them with my dash attack, because like I mentioned, I really need to get more scrap than I have. I really need to get just more scrap than I have right now. Please attack the one that's actually causing me problems and not the one just way off to the side. Thank you. I can't control what my auto attack aims at, which is problematic at times. And if I'm trying to collect scrap, I might as well actually do a halfway decent job of that. Because it's not a hard material to collect in the grand scheme of things. I just need to, because all I need to do to collect it is I just need to break things armor, which is normally done by either a ground slam attack or by dash attacking into enemies, though these ones appear to not actually give me as much scrap for my dash attack. Can I only partially break armor in this game? That might actually legitimately be a mechanic. Can I get up here? I can. I don't know if this actually helps me at all. Yeah, I don't think that actually helps me at all. Though it feels like there's probably something on top of that pillar. Yeah, it does feel like there's probably something on top of the pillar that I just can't quite make it up to. I think it's probably easier to try to climb the pillar from the other side, since I have a slightly higher platform to start from. Though I may wind up running into the same issue of not being able to get around blocks, because I'm looking at the pillar. Yeah, I'm looking at this pillar right here. And it looks like there's going to be an item somewhere up on top of it. I just can't figure out if it's actually going to be an item or if it's just going to be a bit of a platforming challenge for not much benefit. This one does take me up a little bit also, right? Yeah. Okay, I need to... Why did my other ability not... Or my other movement abilities not let me trigger them there? Because I think I need to do 1, 2, 3 crescent, 1, 2, 3 dash. I think is the order I need to use the abilities in. Starting from maybe here. 1, 2, 3 crescent. Oh, I can't attack after crescent. I have to do crescent and then dash immediately. Maybe. 1, 2, 3 crescent, jump, dash. Okay, I think that would have worked if I didn't jump right away. 1, 2, 3 crescent, dash. 1, 2, 3 jump. 2, 3 dash. I think I just need to give it enough time for it to regenerate a second crescent. So more horizontal space, I think, is what I needed. Instead of trying to just go from the edge of the platform, I think I need to go maybe from the right edge of the platform. I don't even know if this is an intended platforming challenge or not. But it feels potentially useful. But also, if I'm doing platforming challenges, I probably should have equipped my platforming challenge gear loadout. 1, 2, 3 crescent. I needed to do a dash there. So the crescent recharge. 1, 2, 3 crescent dash. 1, 2, 3 jump. 1, 2, 3 dash. 1, 2, 3. That almost let my crescent get there. Yeah, I think if I have the correct set of relics equipped for movement instead of combat, I can definitely make it up there. Which was this loadout? Was there something that let my abilities recharge faster? I have Ancients. I already had that equipped. I don't think there's actually really a useful 2 damage. I might as well equip the random relic that I'm not actually sure what it does. Since I do think I can, since I now have more jump height, I think I can make it up that pillar to Either there's going to be something very useful up there, or it's going to be just a solid wall, and the game's going to be asking me why I put so much effort into trying to climb up a wall that doesn't actually matter. One or the other. I'm legitimately not sure which it's going to wind up being. Take out. Granted, I still have combat on the way back over. This game definitely doesn't have any just safe areas, even if it has a platforming challenge in the area. There's still going to be a rather large quantity of... Okay, apparently something exploded and dealt a lot of damage to me right there. I'm not actually sure what attacked me there. I'm not actually sure what hit me there, which is mildly concerning. Okay, I want to break their armor for the scrap also. If I'm going to be running through this area anyways, I might as well get some upgrade materials from the journey. Since can't hurt. More upgrade materials definitely can't hurt things. Because yeah, I think the ground slam breaks the armor more, so I get more scrap from like a ground slam from a high location than I've been getting from running into them with the dash ability. I am on fire. Let's put out the fire. One enemy at a time. Because yeah, this is a... Yeah, that's a rat... Oh, the point of their sword has a like explosion style secondary attack. That feels concerning. Yeah, that feels more than a little bit concerning. I don't think I care about... I know there's 2 enemies on the roof over to the side. I don't think I actually care about them. 1, 2, 3. I needed to have my crescent angled up. Or my triangle attack needed to be angled up there. 1, 2, 3. And then, right, I need to dash immediately after I use the crescent slash. Trying to get onto the pillar for whatever it's worth. I'm half doing this to prove I can actually get up there. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I definitely could have made it up. I think maybe starting on this side of the platform is actually the correct play. 1, 2, 3, dash. 1, 2, 3, jump. 1, 2, 3, dash. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I got up there. There is an item on top. Okay, I did read the game's... I did read what the game was trying to do there correctly. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Why is my crescent not triggering there? Because it feels like if I can... It feels like that's probably not enough height. Just off 1, 2, 3, jump 1, 2, 3. And it feels like I need to use the crescent. There we go. Ooh, SP gauge 4% every 2 seconds. It's not a terribly useful item, but it's still an item, and I still proved I can actually climb up that tower. Which I think it was helped by actually equipping the ability, or actually equipping my slightly more movement-oriented relic set. I remember now. I used to go to the academy too. I wasn't a bad student either. You studied magic. Not just magic. You also study arcane engineering to make arcane instruments. That's probably what he was studying. You make friends too, don't you? That sure sounds nice. That depends on the person. People always treated me differently because of who I was. Son of the Lord. Nobody ever approached me. You have us now, so cheer up. I mean, I do suppose that spider used to be a person, which is kind of concerning. You know, I could equip anything up to four relic slots here, since I don't really need any of these last items. They were just kind of equipped for purposes of using all my relic slots that I have. And I could go buy a relic slot for a 5th. Honestly, the Abelia's Ring feels like it might be useful. Or, I'm going to equip Tarnished Tag. The extra... Taking 10% less damage feels exceptionally useful with how much damage everything deals in this game. I'm not sure if 10% damage will save us at any point, but it's definitely worth something. Uh-oh. Run. I can't myself. That looks like a boss fight. That definitely looks like a boss fight. Who proceeded to immediately eviscerate me with a rather large amount of damage. That also zoomed in a lot. Okay, this doesn't feel like an impossible boss fight, at least. Though, definitely going to be far from trivial, and definitely going to take a couple of attempts. I should not have walked straight into the frost there. Yeah, walking straight into the frost does not feel super helpful. Okay, also the electric whirlwinds are weirdly difficult to dodge. Yeah, the electric whirlwinds are weirdly difficult for me to dodge, and I'm not sure why. They don't take up that much of the screen. Yeah, the whirlwinds don't take up that much of the screen. I think if I just wait for them to teleport to the side I'm at, and then I can just kind of hit them from there. Feels like it's probably safer than trying to get all up in their face constantly for attacks. I'm suspecting that this is a better approach to the boss fight. This doesn't feel overly terribly difficult. Yeah, this does not feel like as difficult of a boss fight as I thought it would be. So either there's like a second phase that's not triggering, or I'm just missing something. I'm going to dodge and let them teleport again, I think. Are you going to actually teleport, or are you just going to stand over to the left? Apparently they're just going to stand over there. Come on. There we go. There we go. Uh-oh. They don't have that much health left. Yeah, they don't have that much health left, so it shouldn't be that difficult to take them out. So I'm suspecting that there's probably a second phase, given how easy that was compared to normal. There are still students inside. 2 of them must help. At least they're trying to help. It's no good. Her core couldn't take it. Even after she turned mutant, Professor Liza still tried to save us. But fear got the better of me. I tried to destroy her. I'm so sorry, Professor. Though I think we should send them to... out of the academy. Professor Liza, we need to tell Professor Isabel. It does help that defeating a boss heals me. Though we now have even more Magic Academy to... or Sorcerer's Academy to clear out, it appears. Come on. Come on. I know you want to attack me, but please don't run towards the enemy that shoots fireballs. It is a little bit hard for me to deal with multiple of these enemies at one time. Even if there's nothing else other than just the amount of damage that they deal, it's already enough to make it borderline impossible to actually deal with some of these enemies. Also, apparently, if I fall into two of the lasers at once, I have my entire health bar get instantly obliterated. I can't say I'm surprised. Can you talk to them again? Student you tried to save. She made it. So please leave the area. You are standing in a very dangerous part of the map. Please don't stand in dangerous parts of the map if you're not an enemy. Yeah, I don't think the game will actually let me hurt them. Yeah, this is a very tricky combination of enemies tucked in this little corner. Because we have the one that deals... We have the one that charges forward with the sword. We have the fireball shooter, and then we have the triple, or I guess it's quadruple laser beams up in the sky. Which is a not entirely great combination. I really need to, like, draw one of them out at a time. But especially the one with the shield here really likes to dodge backwards and make it quite difficult. Can I hit this guy from below? Not really. Or at least not enough for it to really be a viable strategy to beat them. Okay, 1, 2, 3. That cost entirely too much health for me to get up here. If you're trying to heal the enemies, I think I classify anything that tries to heal the sorcerer that are attacking me also as an enemy, even if these robots that do the healing are ostensibly not actually hostile to me. That they're hostile transitively through the enemies I'm trying to defeat. They're also all over this second area. There were only a couple of them in the first part of the academy. Oh, I think I need to warp through. I think I need to warp and then immediately ground slam. I see one of the two missing students on the right side. Okay, I don't have enough space to charge up a dash attack on this side. Oh. Hold on. I think I see how this puzzle works. Okay, that's actually kind of cool. Did not mean to sneeze there. And do you ever mean to sneeze? Really? Really? You're gonna heal the strongest enemy in this area? That they're already difficult enough for me to fight. That was a cool little puzzle using the warp to get through. Ooh, item. That took me entirely too long to process. It's an additional relic slot. That's probably very good. Actually, that is definitely very good. And an unidentified amplifier. I don't remember if that lets me upgrade my scythe attack or not. But if that's if that one lets me upgrade my scythe attack, that's really, really good instead of just like slightly good. So even if it only lets me upgrade my other attacks, it's still going to be a quite useful ability. Also, there is another laser blaster over to the side, which is... I don't like that enemy type. Actually, they're a very effective enemy type for what they're doing, which is they cover a massive area and make it dangerous. Hey, Micah, welcome to stream. I am currently getting absolutely destroyed by the fact that every enemy in this game deals as much damage to me as I do to them. Which makes it kinda hard to deal with the enemies. I want to flip all the levers, though. Okay, this is one of the missing students. The other one was somewhere off more to the right? Yeah, the enemies in this game, every enemy in this game, I think, is more than capable of defeating me in one-on-one combat, which is kind of terrifying. I think I saw because our current quest is save the missing students, or I suppose that's the closest thing to a quest that we have. I did not want to hit that warp. But that does make it a little bit tricky when... Ooh, what's over here? I don't know what that is. I mean, that's a lot of material. I don't know what this is and why it says move. Okay, apparently that's an entire teleporter to an entirely new area. How many of those does this game have? But yeah, these enemies also deal, like, that attack is terrifying, since I know it can absolutely take out, like, half my health in one hit. And that's not even a rare enemy type. Like, this game doesn't even care if it's a difficult enemy. Everything's a difficult enemy. But yeah, I definitely still missed one of the Magic Sorcerer Academy students somewhere. I don't know if I can get up here. Yeah, because I don't know if I can make it up that jump. This game lets you get away with a lot in terms of movement jank. And I think I can actually get around this corner to get up onto the roof. Yeah, there we go. I will say, I do also, even if the game's difficulty is quite high, you can see how much damage just even a single tick of getting hit by a enemy attack already does to me. Also, yes, the enemies can heal. You're scared of... presumably something. These enemies. These enemies deal a lot of damage. They also... all three status effects are represented by the enemies in this area. And they also... yeah, the friendly robot is healing them. Which is... it could be worse. Hey, look, it's the last of the students. But there's also the area off to the left. Yeah, these aren't even enemies, they're bosses now. Oh, the bosses have even more health. Granted, the bosses don't deal notably more damage than the enemies, from what I've noticed. Because they already deal my entire health bar. That is, I think, the most terrifying of the enemies in this area, because they also have a shield. Yeah, the enemies at least go down relatively quickly. I'll take 600 scrap. I don't think I can climb up this wall. Yeah, then the bosses are pantheons. They're not entirely that far off. I think I can probably get up there. Yeah, I suspect I can get up that platform from... I wonder if I can climb up the wall here? I know I can get up to that platform if I'm going to jump, if I go and equip my more movement-oriented gear loadout. Is this going to teleport me up high, or is it going to let me... it will move me over up in the upper parts. I've noticed that sometimes this game will not actually drop me in a useful location. And if I, like, try to traverse a room up high, it'll just have me nicely walking on the ground, which doesn't help me if I'm trying to get places that the game probably doesn't want me to go. If the game doesn't want me to go someplace, it shouldn't give me the option. I don't think I can get past this laser. Also, I have no more healing. I'm drawing for like 6 hours straight, can't even hold your pencil. That's That's unfortunate. Hopefully you're at least having fun drawing. But not being able to hold your pencil is rather unfortunate. Is there something on top of this roof? Or is this just a tall building? I think that's just a tall building. I'm just noticing that this area's, where this big room's not marked blue on the map, which means I missed an item in it somewhere. I have a doggy. This game, I do have a puppy in this game, or I suppose it's more of a, it's a puppy. It's a wolf. That's a puppy. That they are basically actually like the sprint system in this game. I definitely can get that item. I think I want to go off of this wall. Did the chat break? Oh, the chat broke. I know exactly why the chat broke. Yeah, I know exactly why the chat broke. If I click this button, give it a minute, and the chat is probably no longer broken. It might take a minute or two for it to trigger. I may or may not have forgotten to launch the program that handles the chat. Which would be probably, presumably important. What did I just do? Hold on. I legitimately have no idea what ability I just triggered right there. Chat broke because this game has too much quality. That's entirely possible. Or is the chat program just completely broke today? Let me also hit this button. There we go. Now it's working. Luckily, it is a bit of software I wrote, so I can fix it pretty easily because I know how it works. It does help that for fixing the chat software, because all the chat software I could find for YouTube that was just like off the shelf had about a 90% chance of just not working for any given stream. So I'm just like, well, I'm a software engineer. I'll just make my own because I know how to do that. Yeah, I think what I need to do differently for getting this item is, I think I need to use my crescent earlier. So 1, 2, 3, crescent dash, 1, 2, 3, jump, 1, 2, 3, dash, 1, 2, 3. There we go. The movement's that's an upgrade material. The movement in this game is more than a little bit on the tricky side at times. I'm gonna go sit at the respite because I have a sneaking suspicion that they're about to that boss is not actually fully defeated. I have a sneaking suspicion that boss is not actually fully defeated. And I can upgrade my primary attack ability using one of the ability upgrade materials I picked up. I can upgrade 2 abilities. I don't really use this one though. This game has a fairly diverse set of loadouts you can pull, or you can pull off, and also just way too many relics. way too many relics. Okay, my sneaking suspicion is that this room still has a boss fight left in it, because they refused to leave. The student you tried to save, she made it. Why is this not triggering? Professor Eliza. We need to tell Professor Isabel. Oh, do I need to like actually go to the room with Professor Isabel and specifically tell them that Professor Eliza is... that robot on the ground there is Professor Eliza is having difficulties not being evil? Presumably, yes. 5 of our students owe you their lives. Now we must find Eliza. I'm sorry, Eliza is... I couldn't save her. She's with the students you protected near the Central Plaza. Near Central Plaza? This doesn't feel... This feels like I'm leading up to a boss. Understood. I will make my way there. Yeah, work. Angelica, work. Eliza. I suppose. Okay, that room's now marked as complete. There is whatever's going on up here. I kind of want to check that out at some point also, and then... I'm not sure what's with the giant laser beam that I can't get past there. I don't think even with movement, this game's movement jank, I have nearly enough vertical mobility to get up there. Your students, I shall... Eliza, forgive me. This I still suspect a boss fight. Rest well knowing that you did all you could, and that your students are alive because of you. Thank you. Professor Isabel, it's my fault. I did this to Professor Eliza. It's not your fault. Mutated homunculi are not to be taken lightly. Uh-oh. You have my gratitude. Thanks to you, we've been able to protect our students. I will remain here until things settle down. If there is anything I can do to help, please let me know. Okay. Yeah, what did they do? They got corrupted by fumes. For the students that remain, we must... I detect an unusual energy. One characteristic of arcane instruments that are prohibited. What's that you have there? Prohibited? This black perfume. Where did you obtain? This is a lot of dialogue. So basically, everything in this land gets corrupted by evil fumes, eventually. Finally, someone in the know. This shall not do. I'm afraid I shall have to confiscate this. Hey! Even worse, it's been modified to release an unusually high concentration of magic. Is something wrong? I mean, at least somebody knows what we're getting handed by Levi constantly. I'm reminded of a time an attuner visited this academy once before. Yorin was his name, I believe. Oh, that's the, chief attuner. Yorin. So this was the chief attuners. What the hell was he doing at the academy? He was here to look up reading materials on the land of origin in the Frosts. And on soul resurrection. Soul resurrection? The land of Fumes is said to once have been ruled by the ancient peoples. That's also mildly concerning, given that they kind of have destroyed every land that they've touched. Their priestesses were said to wield magic that allowed them to take control of one's very soul. Details on the subject are scant, however. I mean, the attuners, from what I can tell, don't really get along with the sorcerers very well. More of this ancient stuff. Feels like only the Frosts had any idea what they were all about. Regardless, this perfume is a most hazardous article. If anyone were to ingest such a large quantity of magic, it would result in death. Should you happen to know Yorin, you would do well to let him know. I understand. In return for letting me confiscate the perfume, you may have this. Three relic slots. Wow. It is a tripartite magic vial. It was proposed by students at this very academy and adopted for mass production. That is a lot of relic slots. This is far more useful. Thank you. You are most welcome. Think of it as a token of gratitude for everything you've done for us. My perfume. That is a very good upgrade. Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of relic slots. Also, I can upgrade more abilities now, since I got more upgrade materials as well. The relic slots are the equivalent of, charm notches in Hollow Knight. Or... it's similar, because the relics are this game's equivalent of charms. That's four more relic slots. Honestly, it might be worth it to equip the Abelia's Ring, because that gives me at least a chance of taking out some of these stronger enemies. Or a little bit of healing ability could be very helpful. So I'd really like Declan's ring, but 9 is ridiculously expensive. Yeah, why does the setup of the relic menu remind you of 9 Souls? Every Metroidvania has, I'm pretty sure, the exact same relic charm. 9 Souls has Jade's upgrade system nowadays. So it's definitely something I see a lot. Yeah, why are they just standing here? And thank you for saving me. Something does not feel... Okay, I mean, the room is marked as complete, but something does not feel right with that room. There is the area off... There is this room up here. I think I'm going to check that room out next. I should not stand directly in the middle of the evil magic. Okay, that's a lot of teleporters around this room. I think it's left, right, and then what? I think this is basically a mini password. Left, right, right, okay. Apparently that is the answer for how to get back up here quickly. But yeah, 9, I think this game might have... Actually, I think this game came out before 9 Souls. I was going to say this game might potentially have taken inspiration from 9 Souls, because I know the devs have talked about taking inspiration from other Metroidvanias before. But I think this game actually came out before 9 Souls. So that wouldn't actually make a ton of sense on the order there. I will say, there is one item we're missing from somewhere in either the Magic Academy or the Arcane Factory area that we found, which would be the key to the key to the upper stratum. Also, gotta love the near instantaneous. Suddenly, here's a random platforming challenge that did a entirely too much damage. Note to self: do not stand in laser beams. They deal basically my entire health bar at once. Okay, that did not look like a standable platform there. I'm presuming there is a useful upgrade ability somewhere up top. Yeah, I'm presuming there's an upgrade ability up here somewhere, or potentially 2 abilities. Yeah, I see one there. That's an interesting attack. My attacks appear to have changed a little bit. Yeah, my attack appears to have changed with my upgrade. It's a carapace that increases my SP gauge a lot. Technically, this game does have a parry system, but it has not proven to be terribly useful to me. Also, that was definitely an intentional miss on falling off the platform there, and definitely not me just being slightly bad at platforming occasionally. You'd think for how many platformers for how many Metroidvanias I've played, including platformers, I'd be better at them. This is a very nice looking area up here. Yeah, this is a very nice, pretty looking area. Last time I saw a field of flowers in the game, in one of the Ender games, there was a boss fight. Things that look highly ominous. Person standing in field who knows my name. Lilac? This does not feel safe. Thank goodness. Safe here. No one will. No one. No, get away. Can't. Won't lose you again. By my hand, I will. That's a boss. Luisach the Iron Witch. It's another wizard boss. Another sorcerer mage boss. Why are they attacking me? What did I ever do to them? I'm not sure what I did to them, but they appear to not like the fact that I'm here. That also is a entirely too much damage. Why does the boss get to heal? That's not fair. Yeah, the boss getting to heal is not fair. Yeah, that is so far from being fair. Granted, I suppose I get to heal. They want my dog. I suppose they might want the dog. But also, the boss healing is a terrifying proposition. Yeah, the boss being able to heal is an absolutely terrifying proposition. And also, they deal a lot of damage and have a lot of health. Yeah, this is what I meant by, like, the bosses also have a ridiculous amount of health. I also still only have 3 heal slots. I think I've yet to find a way to get more healing in this entire game. Because I haven't found a way to get more charges for my healing. If I first try this boss, that'll be really impressive given the difficulty, but it looks like I did not. Yeah, but boss healing before GTA 6, you don't talk about First Sinner. I mean, it's a little bit unfair feeling. I don't think any of my other carapaces are super useful because I never remember to hit R1. None of these, I suppose the Krios Totem might be more useful for the boss fight. Though, we did also unlock more things at the shop. Also, yes, this game has an absolutely massive map. Is there anything here that gives me more heals? Because I definitely would have beaten that if I had additional healing. Base of Fragrance. Not really. When damage is taken. One-time use cures a status effect. Increases attack power a little bit. Increases one's defense for a little bit. Increases number of healing ward recoveries by 2. That is actually very good. Because I think that answers my question of how do I get more heals? I just buy them from the shop. I might as well buy more magic vials from the shop since I have the money. Since more relic slots is never a bad thing. And honestly, I think having more heals is going to be significantly more useful than healing just a little bit each time. Though for bosses, Abilities Ring doesn't really do anything. I do like... Actually, I think I'm going to have 2 separate combat loadouts. One of which is more exploration-oriented, one of which is more boss fight-oriented, might be the play. I do like dealing more break damage. I'm going to set this one up for... I'm going to set Relic Slot 3 up for boss fights. Additional break damage. I want the extra cooldown. I definitely want to take less damage from bosses. Actually, I think Charmed Fragment might be more useful than Blighted Talisman for my exploration loadout. So I think I'm going to unequip... I don't need that much material. I get a lot of material elsewhere. Actually, I can't equip both of them. And then for exploration, or for boss combat, I want as much damage as I can get. And also to take as little damage as possible. I have my pressure abilities, I have those abilities. I don't normally deal with swimming. I suppose that faster healing and slightly better movement will help with bosses. As will... I stagger enemies occasionally, though not a ton for boss fights. I could equip that, but that would require me to unequip something else. Yeah, the break damage is going to be nice. So I'm like trying to figure out what loadout I actually want here, and this game has entirely too many options. Though these could maybe less likelihood of stat. I don't get hit by status effects very often from bosses, though. Is the thing there? Maybe. Yeah, a lot of these are like status effects or staggered enemies. I'll go with just extra damage on staggered enemies for a bit at least. But yeah, five heals instead of 3 is, I think, the biggest upgrade I have gotten this entire game by a long shot. Because that is far from insignificant. Because that basically, that almost doubles how much health I have. Which is a major benefit. I do need to make sure I spawn my owl. Because the owl is one of the autonomous abilities that I have equipped, which lets me basically have an ability that deals damage without me having to consciously think about it. Also, I definitely got lit on fire right there. Okay, let's not let the boss heal. Yeah, let's not let the boss get away with healing. Okay, I am getting some staggers off on the boss. It's not terrible. Yeah, focus on the thing that lets the boss heal, so that because if the boss heals, then I get very sad. Okay, avoid the attacks. This boss doesn't feel super terribly difficult unless there's an entire second phase, especially now that I have the extra healing. Yeah, especially now that I have the extra healing, this doesn't feel terribly difficult. Though I still might take me a couple of attempts. Because boss fight is still a boss fight. Oh, I can probably get through the weird evil tunnel in Land of Origin now. Because there was an evil tunnel in an area called the Land of Origin that I couldn't get through because I was running out of health. Because that area was basically just a damage check. It was basically just a, I guess, less of a damage check and more of a healing check. Okay, when they teleport up, they apparently really like to then swing down at me. And the dodge timing in this game is fairly generous, but it's definitely not free. Also, I got frozen, it appears. Okay, this boss might actually be a little bit more difficult than I thought they'd be. I'm also on fire, and the fire in this game deals a ridiculous amount of damage. I suppose I am on fire, so taking a bunch of damage does make sense. I suppose taking a bunch of damage from being on fire does make perfectly logical sense, so can't get too mad at the game there. Okay, I think I need to... Why am I suddenly doing so much worse than I was doing on the first attempt? Yeah, because I'm suddenly doing like way worse than I did on the first attempt of the boss. And I have more healing this time. Did I start... Well, what did I mess up? Or like, what did I start doing differently all of a sudden? Because I have a very similar equipment loadout also, just with the things that don't really matter for a boss fight because they're attack defeat or like enemy defeated based, being what I was playing with instead. Okay, I need to take out the thing that can heal the boss. Yeah, suddenly I'm like not even getting the boss much past half health, which is interesting. I do think this is the area I need to be in, though, since defeating the boss is probably going to be helpful. I'm guessing that this boss holds the other half of the key to the upper stratum, though, since half the key was held by the boss of the area to the right, and this is the area to the left. And this appears to be the boss of the area to the left. So that would make at least logical sense to me. Yeah, I need to be careful with that attack. Yeah, I need to be careful when they swing down with their broom as a sword. Since that attack deals... I mean, every attack in this game deals a absolutely absurd amount of damage, so it's not isolated. I definitely just dashed inside their attack to stay in their attack there. That's presumably not great. Yes, hanging out inside of their attack is presumably not the best thing for my long-term survival. Because I just need to be much more careful with what attacks or when I try to actually attack the boss, I think. The endless joke is my inability to be patient in boss fights. Despite the fact that every boss fight in basically every game I ever play is about 100 times easier if I slow down by like 5% and just focus a little tiny bit more. The fact that I can't hit them when they're summoning feels a little unfair. Okay, dodge. I need to take out the enemy that's healing the boss. They definitely get priority. And I should also make sure I'm actually using all my abilities and not just the ones that are immediately helpful. Because none of the abilities in this game are limited in use. I am on fire, and I am taking a ton of damage from that. Yeah, I'm still constantly surprised by the fact that me being on fire in this game deals like an actually appreciable amount of damage, along with everything else in this game. Okay, I got 2 staggers off on the boss. Okay, apparently the boss does have a phase 2 trigger at like a third of their health bar, because they now have a purple evil stuff surrounding them, and they definitely modified their attack pattern there. Yeah, that's definitely a new attack. Yeah, definitely some new attacks here from the boss, which is always terrifying. Though they don't have that much health left. That was... I got very close. Yeah, I got very close on their health bar there. I think actually just remembering to use all my abilities will come in handy. Though maybe I swap out Crescent for a second autonomous ability for the boss fight. That could potentially be useful. Yeah, you don't even know what to comment anymore. I don't know. Talk about your day. I'll respond to almost any comment that's like not weird or crazy. or like just outright just trolling or similar. Please take out the boss. Or please take out the enemy that heals the boss first. This boss really does deal a lot of damage. I mean, hey, if I have one owl friend... But also, I will say, if I have one owl friend, But what's better than one owl friend in a boss fight? 2 owl friends in a boss fight. Though this owl friend really only does things when I dodge. I think is why I kind of had unequipped them. I don't know. Is there... The Crescent ability does do a lot of damage. The Crescent ability does do a lot of damage, so it's not terrible. But also, this boss is tricky. And then there's so many other areas to explore also, which are presumably filled with even more tricky bosses. Because if there is one thing, I will say, if there is one thing that the developers know how to do, it is keep the game's difficulty up there without making it feel overtly unfair. Though that does not mean that they make a easy game. It just means that the game doesn't feel like it's being unfair to me, just that I'm being absolutely skill issued repeatedly. Yeah, every attack deals like half to my full health bar if I get hit by it, which is highly problematic. Yeah, it's a very highly problematic it's a very big problem with how much damage absolutely everything deals. And the fact that the boss summons the enemies that heal them. I will say, the background art here is rather pretty. This is like the only field of flowers I've seen in the entire game. And this boss feels a lot easier than the Field of Flowers boss from Ender Lilies. Because Ender Lilies also had a boss that was just hanging out in the Field of Flowers, and that boss, I think, was the hardest boss of the entire game by far. Honestly, I should really use my pressure ability more. This, like, ranged attack I have. Since it lets me stay away from the boss. And their high damage attacks. Which I think is probably a good idea. Yeah, I think that staying away from the attacks that deal massive amounts of damage is probably a pretty good idea. I got them down to just a tiny sliver of health for a second time. Because that was like 2 hits away from winning. Yeah, because like 2 hits away from winning is a very good position to be in. But also, this boss deals... I suppose them spawning the things that heal is probably actually a phase 2 trigger. So I think this is actually a 3-phase boss. Because they start off fairly easy, then they start spawning enemies that help heal them. Yeah, they start spawning the enemies that start healing them. I think that's a phase 2 trigger. Like, I think that actually is a phase 2 trigger. And then they have a phase 3 trigger when they get the, like, purple evil stuff around them. Is I think actually more accurate. But also, I need to actually be able to hit the enemies. The fact that they're teleporting does make them a little bit difficult to deal with. The fact that they're like a very highly mobile teleporting boss. That's surprisingly difficult to hit. Yeah, if you see me just start randomly dashing, you can probably check if I got frozen. Or not frozen, if I'm on fire. Because stop, drop, and roll does actually work in this game. Yeah, stop, drop, and roll for being on fire does actually work correctly. Because dashing around like crazy will actually put out the fire. Okay, I may have underestimated this boss slightly. Or more than slightly. Just because of how far we got through their health bar the very first try, I definitely feel like I underestimated this boss's difficulty. Which is... I think it's fortunate that I underestimated the boss's difficulty. Since I legitimately like my bosses to actually be a threat. Which Silksong does a good job with, Nine Souls does a good job with. The Ender games do a pretty good job of having the bosses also be absolutely terrifying. I will say, at least the enemies that heal don't have that much health. Again, they are as strong as several other bosses earlier in the game, I'm pretty sure. But they are, I think, fairly straightforward to deal with. But having to focus down 2 enemies at once is always one of my weak points. And the fact that this boss fight keeps throwing out a second enemy I need to focus on does, I feel, keep throwing me off a little bit. I just got hit by both fireballs in a row and their broom attack. That was not a... that was not a very solid attempt right there. Yeah, I need to... Yeah, when they teleport, it always seems like they throw out the ice cloud when they teleport. Seems like when they teleport up is pretty consistently when they... Yeah, it seems like when the boss teleports up is pretty consistently when they're gonna attack me with their broom. I don't know of any way to interrupt them spawning a healing robot helper. Is mildly problematic. Because they're probably going to spawn one right here. Yep. Yep, they're going to spawn one. I'm going to be paying too much attention to it and not enough attention to the boss, and I'm going to get clipped by their attack. Which still deals a lot of damage. I do think that being on the ground, so I deal grounded attack damage, is the correct strategy for this boss. Yeah, I feel like being on the ground and dealing the grounded attack damage is the correct strategy, because I deal a lot more damage even without my abilities. I deal a lot more damage if I'm standing on the ground. Yeah, I deal a lot, because yeah, I deal a lot. That is a lot of damage I took right there. Okay, I definitely need to be more careful of that attack. And the fact that the boss keeps throwing out different fairly strong attacks is problematic. Also, this game does an absurd job with how many buttons I need to be pressing at any given point in time. Which is honestly not the biggest problem ever, but also the fact that there's the dodge button. I am very low on health. Okay, is that enough? Is that enough? No, that is not enough. I couldn't even see the marker on their health bar there. Yeah, I legitimately couldn't even see their remaining health mark, or their remaining health on their health bar. Which is... I will say, I like when I can get that yellow bar that they have to be empty, because that's their stun meter, is that yellow bar. And if their stun meter runs out, or I think it's called break in this game is the official term that they use. But if I can get them to run out of break damage, or if I can inflict break on the enemy, I think is the proper terminology that Ender Magnolia is using. Okay, the fact that there's... I can't seem to take out this one particular enemy that's healing the boss. How many attempts do we think this is going to take? This is definitely not as easy of a boss as I thought it was going to be. So I'm wondering if it's going to be like in the next like 5 attempts, or it's going to be like 50 attempts later. 5 more attempts, you think? That's, you know, that's probably also pretty reasonable. Though also sometimes I start feeling like, oh, this boss is going to take me like 50 more attempts because of how many times I'm getting so close to winning. I will say, I like the owl dealing or just helping me slowly chip down the enemy's health bar. I need to focus on the thing that deals, or the thing that heals the boss first. Because I definitely cannot win. I definitely can't beat the boss if they're healing at the same rate I can deal damage to them. But also, those enemies really love to just fly around, and then the boss really loves to just teleport into them. Because they're not the strongest enemy ever. They do take several full attack cycles for me to take them out, though. That was fairly clean. Yeah, I think I'm gonna heal at the start of this phase. The fact that they're spawning the 2 separate, different speed pillars of Doom, the 2 separate speed pillars of Doom is a little bit problematic because they're very hard to dodge. Yeah, when there's 2 of these pillars, they get rather tricky to dodge. Okay. I'm close to a stun on the boss. Because yeah, the more I can stuns I can get off on the boss, I think the better shape we wind up in. Since okay, I think that actually worked. Unless there's another phase. There very well could be a 3rd phase, or I guess a 4th phase. Though it looks like not. It looks like it actually worked. Normally seeing tune means it worked. We found the target and 2 frosts, and a tuner and a child. Verify the target's status, then lock down the subterranean testing site. I will settle this myself. Lucic, deal with the other 2. To the biological research facility. I'll take a look there. I'm not scared of homunculi. They're just like us. Okay, apparently that's us. The Blight? Professor, I'm so sorry. Listen to me. You need to run. I can't control it much longer. Gilroy and that barrier. If only I'd known. Apparently they saved us at some point in the past. I'm sorry. We were trying to evacuate the students. But I lost that girl. But I kept at it. And then I realized what I had become. That was a surprisingly difficult boss fight. I nearly lost you, too. Back then, you helped me. I saw it in those memories. So we have... I think there's an area I can explore in Land of Origin. There's an area I can explore to the left, and I might be able to get to the upper stratum now, maybe? It was just a whim at first. Or maybe it was curiosity. You hadn't been outside in a long time, and the experiments in a tuner training were taking their toll. You just made friends with a homunculus. I remember how excited you were to tell me. It was less than 5 attempts. It was 1 attempt after I said that. I'm sorry. The only memories I have are from after we were separated and I fell to the lower stratum. And what of me? I understand I am somehow connected to Gilroy. You? I thought Gilroy had destroyed you. It isn't like him not to finish the job. What do you plan to do? Extract revenge for what he did to you? I wish to reclaim my memories, and whether or not I do, destroy his core. Don't underestimate Gilroy. Even with your memories, he'd prove formidable. Gilroy has turned mutant. A lot of attuners have lost their lives to him. We have to stop him. No, not Gilroy, too. I think he's the guy who was attacking the city when we first made it to the central stratum. I think that's who Gilroy was. If you intend to find him, I'm coming with you. I owe him that much. It's good to see you again, Lilac. I'll teach you everything I can. We get an upgrade from that. That's pretty good. Ooh, it's another pressure ability. Interesting. I'm not sure if that's going to be better or worse than the pressure ability that we have. Yeah, because it's similar to the other ability. And I think I'd have to check how much damage it actually deals, because this does a pretty good amount of damage and inflicts a lot of break status. Which would be... Okay, apparently they're here. That's relatively fast, deals a lot of AoE, but that has like 0 break power. Which is what I care about the most, is things that deal a lot of break damage. Which is why I really like the barrage. Because I use the break damage to stun the enemies. The clothes under your mantle. That's the Academy uniform I gave you, isn't it? It is? I had no idea. Lilia picked it out, specifically because it looked like an attuner's uniform. Lucic, could you tell me about the time you spent with Lilia? I was at the Academy a lot, so I wasn't always around the two of you. Lilia was raising you to be an attuner, and in exchange for certain information, it was agreed that you would be safe from harm. The workers at the research facility, not to mention the homunculi, weren't exactly normal. So Lilia did what she could to keep you safe and guarantee you some sort of a life, even when the experiments didn't make it easy for her. No, Lilia. I'm pretty sure Lilia's not alive anymore. I wish I'd been able to do more for you both, but it's a little late for regrets. Yeah, there's a lot of areas I can go to now, because I didn't actually get the other half of the key to the upper stratum. This room, the doors were locked, and I can't open them. I still have no idea what I'm missing in this room. I have giant laser beams there and there. Laser beam there. Have not explored that area yet. Missing something there. Can't break that wall. Can't break those walls. There is this tunnel. I kind of want to see if I can make it through that tunnel now that I have the extra healing. Because the main limiting factor last time I tried to get through that tunnel was that I just had 0 healing ability. Let's take out all the creepy Land of Origin things first, though. They are... Yeah, random teleporting flies. Okay, I have 5 health, or I have 5 heals. Hopefully that's enough to make it around this tunnel. Because this is... I don't think 5's enough heals. Yeah, I don't think 5 heals is enough heals to make it through here either. How do I get through this room? Yeah, how do I get through that room then? Because I'm pretty sure I just need to damage tank my way through that room. but I don't know if I have anywhere close to enough healing, even with the extra heals. Because that's... Or I'm like, I might need like faster move speed. Though I have the movement, I had the movement speed equipped there. I'm legitimately not sure how to survive that. I'm gonna equip. Yeah, I'm gonna keep things equipped for. Actually, this is not. This is my exploration focused loadout. Apparently I just don't have enough health to make it through that area either. And then... So I think the last thing to do is to just try to go through the Arcane Factory, which is, to absolutely nobody's surprise, absolutely filled to the brim with things that are terrifying. Because every enemy in this game deals, like, entirely too much damage. It is also apparently really hard to hit. Because this particular type of enemy has a pretty good health bar. I did not expect to actually be able to climb up that. Because that looks slightly overhanging on the map, which normally means I can't climb. That is a terrifying amount of damage for a common enemy. That was like 3/4 of my health bar from one attack. Okay, apparently it's not just the boxes that occasionally decide to attack me. It's also apparently sometimes the just random crates and stuff. Everything can be a mimic. Absolutely everything can be a mimic. Though I haven't seen any mimics of like platforms in this game yet. I know I've seen them in Rain World, but I know that they're almost certainly going to be mimics of apparently every single type of container in this game can be a mimic at times. So it seems I can't stand on those platforms. It seems I can't stand on some of those platforms, which is concerning. I'd like to be able to stand on all the platforms. Thank you very much, game. I'm gonna press all the buttons. And what's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen if I push every button all willy-nilly with no regards for what pushing the button does? Okay, how do I get there? Sorry, what? I'm suspecting I need to do something. Okay, I'm guessing 1, 2, 3 crescent dash, 1, 2, 3 jump, 1, 2, 3 dash, 1, 2, 3. That doesn't give me enough. Because I don't think I can get enough vertical height. Yeah, I don't think I can get enough vertical height to get on top of the box. Yeah, I don't know if I can get enough vertical height. Actually, I might be able to get enough vertical height, because I get a tiny bit of vertical height from my normal attack. This game really is... A lot of the challenges in this game really do boil down to how well do you understand this game's movement system. Because it's 1, 2, 3. I needed that to be an upwards crescent. Because I can do that triangle attack either horizontally or with a slight upwards angle. Is that enough? That felt really close to getting onto the platform. Yeah, that felt really close to being able to get onto the platform there. 1, 2, 3 dash. 1, 2, 3 crescent jump. Okay, that worked. And there's an item up here. Be something useful. Mysterious glowing can. Increases break damage delta enemies by 20%. I like that. That might actually be a relic I start using a whole bunch. Because the more break damage I deal, well, generally the better off I'm going to be. I like how I don't even need to use the platform I moved up. Actually, I might need to. I definitely could get up there without having moved this platform up first. Because that would be, if I had used my crescent, that would have been pretty easy to make it up. Okay, there we go. Yeah, this game's fairly loose with what it determines is possible to move. Though that is a wall I can't make it past. Because I don't know how to break that type of wall yet. Keyword there is definitely the yet. I spend a lot of time just bouncing around in the air in this game. And not so much time actually running around on the ground. So I suppose it's a good thing that this game did a pretty good job with its air movement mechanics. But also, hi there. You are a very creepy creature. Actually, I think very creepy is an understatement for that enemy. Okay, that looked like a solid platform. It was not a solid platform. I don't think there's anything else. Actually, I'm going to leave this room via the topmost exit. So go up to where I got the item. Yes, it's a creepy creature. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave this room via where I got the item from. Which would be 1, 2, 3 crescent dash. 1, 2, 3 jump. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Because this feels like there's going to be a secret up top somewhere. There was definitely a secret up there. Yeah, there were definitely secrets up there that I just absolutely missed. I need to make sure that the platform is in... I need to make sure that platform is in the upwards position. Otherwise, I definitely can't get up there. Okay, this is an easier spot for me to get here, though. 1, 2, 3, crescent dash, jump. 1, 2, 3. I did those in the wrong order. Because that's 1, 2, 3. I did not let the crescent recharge first. It turns out that if you don't let the ability you're going to use to do the movement recharge, you can't do the movement. Okay, crescent is recharged. 1, 2, 3, crescent dash. 1, 2, 3, jump. There we go. Since there is the platform here, I think if I go along the ceiling... Yeah, I think if I go along the ceiling, that'll be the best way to get to... Because what I want to do is I want to try to get to... Actually, I might be able to just make it directly there. 1, 2, 3, dash. I definitely messed up the movement there. Because I can't dash without having either landed on the ground or jumped in between. And I only get one jump when I'm in the air. It's kind of the... That's kind of the quote-unquote puzzle of the movement in this game, is being able to keep your dashes, jumps, and attacks untangled enough Because the crescent, I also can't jump out of using the crescent ability, which is the triangle attack. I can only dash out of that one, which is why I keep using it pretty early on. There we go. Yeah, that's why I keep using it pretty early on, because it's like 1, 2, 3 dash. I definitely messed that up, but I also somehow managed to still get here. Because there was an item here that I saw. Surveillance records. Transfer to lower stratum due to deterioration. No abnormalities. Void due to accident. And exhibiting signs of defiance under strict surveillance. Interesting. Those are some of the terrifying enemies again. Yeah, these electric landmines are... I'm pretty sure that the electricity that they launch out at me is at least partially percentage-based. I want to break their shields. Though apparently there's toxic goop clouds that can spawn in this area. As if I didn't have enough to deal with already. Oh. I was trying to do weird platforming, but there's literally an elevator. There's literally an elevator. I don't need to do weird platforming to get into this room. Okay, I need to be careful with fighting that enemy. And I need to be very careful fighting this enemy because these are some scary enemy types. Yes, especially the ranged ones, I know deal a lot of damage and have a lot of health. Honestly, having the ability that lets me instantly dispatch the weaker enemies occasionally, I see it I've seen it trigger a few times, and it trips me out a little bit to watch the enemy I'm fighting just instantly vanish. But the amount of use that I'm getting out of that ability is already quite good, because it just instantly destroys an enemy. I am out of healing, and I'm at half health. Which is really like, I can take like one more hit at half health. Ooh, item. Ooh, 450 scrap. The 450 scrap will let me... The thing that scrap's very good at is it unlocks the ability for me to upgrade my relics to either... Sometimes some of the upgrades for the relics improve my ability, or improve the ability of the relics. So it's like a 20 to 30% improvement, or on the whatever it improves for the relic. Or some of them make the really expensive relics cost 1 or 2 slots less to equip. Okay, there's not a whole lot in that room. I am very, very low on health right now, though. Yeah, I have basically 0 health. I've got no health on the... I've got no heals, and I think any attack in this area will defeat me. I'm kind of just hoping I can maybe find a respite that I can use, a bench. This game's equivalent of a bench. A respite that I can use to get my healing. Okay, this is a respite. That is surprisingly well located. Oh, that's 5? 5 slots for the increased break damage. I wonder if I can improve that to make it 4. 4 slots might be better. Because that's close. You and Nola used to work together, didn't you? Is that really her name? That, or any other details you may be able to share. Only that you were known as the Reaper. I recall Lady Lilia was surprised that you didn't have a name and wanted to give you one. My time with you two is when I was assigned to the Lower Stratum Depths Survey Team. That name is a mouthful to say. It was prior to Lilac being sent to the subterranean facilities. I am not certain what happened next. The subterranean facilities were safe back then, weren't they? Yes, but House Milius claimed the location the Attuned were using as their base, and converted it into a testing site. That's mildly concerning. I definitely missed items in that previous room. Because I see the item right there. And I kind of want that item, because I don't know what it is, but I have yet to run into things that are obviously just bad items in this game. 5 extra health, which is actually 30 extra health after you account for the heals. And I will definitely not complain about a bunch of extra health. There is also still this whole pathway down here that I never really explored, actually. And I have a shortcut to that room via a hole in the floor. Actually, not a hole in the floor here. Via an elevator here. Because the more I can explore, every... even a tiny bit of extra health comes in exceptionally useful in this game. Okay, there is stuff along the ceiling. Yeah, these enemies that have the shield that turn to face you are kind of tricky to deal with. Especially on the small platforms. Because they're not bad if I have a lot of space to fight them. But when they're on these tiny little platforms... yeah, when they're on these tiny little platforms, they're rather difficult to deal with. Okay, there is an item tucked up here. This is a Laborer's Tag. Reduces damage taken from enemies by 10%, but increases susceptibility to status effects. I already have an ability... I already have a relic that reduces the damage I take by 10%, so I'm not without that additional qualification that it increases the amount of damage, or increases my susceptibility to attacks, or status effects, so I'm not sure I actually like that relic. Because that feels like a downgrade. Unless it's really, really cheap. Yeah, I have reduces damage taken by enemies from enemies by 10%. This costs more and increases my susceptibility to status effects. That feels like the most useless item possible. Let me not catch on fire. Yeah, that absolutely just feels like a completely useless item. Is there a... okay, there's an exit to the left of this room is what it is. Yeah, I was wondering what else was missing in this room, because it didn't mark it as blue yet. By the order of Factory Administrator Cain Milius, authority over the Empyrean Parasol and all homunculi is hereby transferred to the homunculus Gilroy, the one who's going on a rampage now. Probably not a safe idea. In light of the above, authority over all manufacturing operations is hereby transferred to Velgrind and Velnest. What else is there in this room? Okay, this is apparently still just a long tunnel. I am resting. Please do not interrupt. This is a much larger area than I was expecting down here. Okay, note to self. The wall-mounted laser beams are a little bit dangerous. Or the wall-mounted laser turrets are more than a little bit dangerous there. Okay, I wanted to try to fall straight into that hole right there, but apparently the game decided that would not be an acceptable situation for me to be in. I can very easily get back to that room, though. I will say, I am picking up hundreds of materials here, which comes in, I think, quite useful. There is a pathway here. There's something... I definitely missed something in this room. And whatever that item, or whatever's going on there, looked kind of dangerous. Okay, I see what I'm missing. There is a secret tunnel here. I could barely see that on the map. 600 scrap is an ability upgrade. A 600 scrap is an ability upgrade, and this is probably worth it. This feels like a... That feels like a boss. Yeah, it's a boss that spawns enemies. Because of course. This boss feels pretty straightforward though. Because I deal a pretty good chunk of damage to most enemies in this game. Yeah, I deal a pretty good chunk of damage to most enemies in this game. And that includes bosses. Because, well, if I'm gonna die in like 3 hits, I kind of want to make sure I'm relatively sturdy. Where I want to make sure I don't have to spend too long actually facing the boss. What is this? A giant living robot. Damage to cores. Systems. Emergency. Shut down. Shut down. That was a significantly easier boss than the last one. It stopped. Yeah, that was a significantly easier boss than the last one. A homunculus, ceaselessly creating homunculi. Was it acting of its own will? Or was it the will of the administrator, Gilroy? Perhaps it has been infected by Gilroy's consciousness. The central stratum is more infested with mutants than I had expected. I never imagined the fumes from the depths would pose this much of a threat. I mean, fumes that turn everything into just steal your mind and just drive you crazy might be problematic. It bears further investigation. Ooh, 3 special alloy amplifiers. I like that. And this room only had the boss fight in it. That's not terrible. I still want to... Yeah, I still don't think I can get this room marked as complete just due to... Yeah, just due to the fact that I can't break that wall yet. Though I can upgrade 3 abilities. I'm gonna at least unlock abilities before I put effort into upgrading abilities. Because that's 2 unlocks and an upgrade. I'll take it. Also, I think I have enough to buy the last... Yeah, I think I have enough to buy the last of the upgrades from the shop as well. That would be with the last of the relic slots from the shop as well. Yeah, I have the 7,000 I need. And I might as well... Honestly, the evasive fragrance might be useful at some point. The special alloy points... The special alloy parts here aren't terribly expensive. I mean, they're expensive, but feels kind of reasonable. Any relic I can refine in a useful way. That reduces the number of slots, that increases how much I heal. So a lot of these are fairly useful. I think I'm gonna upgrade. I think I could upgrade both Abelia's ring to use 1 less slot and upgrade how much I heal when I defeat an enemy by 1%, because 1% does add up after a while. And might as well upgrade how much materials I get from breaking stuff as well. Never gonna complain about upgrades. Because they add up. That gives me 2 more relic slots as well. Though I can't actually equip more relics. Yeah, I can't actually equip more relics. I think the next one I might upgrade is Eye of the Ancients. Feels like it would be a useful thing to upgrade. So I have the additional relic slots, but I can't put anything in them. Presumably because of how many relic slots I've used. I like these. I still like that loadout. I think it would be more. I think it's gonna be more useful for stuff like the boss loadout, just to have the ability to equip several different options. Because if I can unequip that one, 5. It costs 5. That's 4. If I remove that gives me 20% instead of 10% break damage. The movement speed and jump height's not actually that useful for boss fights. So that's 30% bonus break damage. It's pretty good. Yeah, 30% bonus break damage is pretty good. And then I don't know, more SP gain. Though I still want my... Because this one is pretty good at exploration as well. Yeah, I do like the fact that the game lets you have multiple types of relic slots. Or like multiple loadouts that it saves. I think is a better way to word that. Oh. The box is angry. Or it's an angry trash can. I've never tested. Can I defeat the lasers? I can actually defeat the laser beams. That might come in very helpful. Also, I definitely can attack through the wall, which I'm going to absolutely take advantage of. Assuming that enemy is close enough to the wall for me to hit them through the wall. Yeah, I like how this game just lets me attack everything through the walls and floors. The floors and walls both. Because if the enemies are going to be this dangerous, why not attack them from a safe spot? And just save myself a tiny bit of trouble. Just a tiny bit of trouble. Because yeah, the more damage I can deal to the enemies when I'm not in danger of taking a bunch of damage myself, I think the better off I generally will wind up being. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There are a lot of these wall-mounted lasers in this area. I deal. Wow. Okay, increasing the amount of break damage I deal. It's gonna be crazy for boss fights because I already deal a pretty good amount of break damage there. And also, yeah, the instant enemy dispatch ability is apparently the greatest thing ever. I can't farm these guys for scrap because they're wall mounted, not floor mounted. And my ground slam ability only gives me scrap if I landed. Yeah, it won't work if I'm not on the ground. Mildly unfortunate. Because otherwise, this would be a very good room for me to farm just scrap and stuff in for relic upgrades. Okay. The fact that my pressure ability can also defeat the lasers instantly with the percentage chance of instant dispatch is, I think, what makes it really, really strong. Because that is a very fast fast ability. Yeah, the pressure ability is very fast at dealing damage compared to almost anything else. So I think the fact that it has the same chance of instant dispatch as any other attack makes it a little bit overpowered. Not that I'm going to complain. I will take every smidgen of an advantage I can get in this game. Huh. So this room wasn't marked as blue, which means I missed something in the room. This corner down here is marked as, I think, considered part of this room by the game's map logic. And there's an item down there. How? Oh. I think I have to go around. Because I think I can go right from this spot. 1, 2, 3. Nope, it's not like that. I think I can grab onto the upper part of this wall. 1, 2, 3 dash. 1, 2, 3. And then I think what I can do is I can traverse like this to here. And then do something similar over to this wall. And then I can drop down and around. I think I can then drop down and around that platform, because I can definitely make it under the walls. I'm about 30-40% consistent on actually pulling that trick off, that particular type of movement tech off, because I have to jump at a very precise time. But I think that would actually work. Dash, 1, 2, 3, jump, 1, 2, 3. Because then I can loop around this wall. Yeah, I can loop around this wall, and then I can get the item. That's actually kind of tricky to get to. Recovers health by half of damage inflicted. 0.5% of damage inflicted. I like that ability. Or I really like that relic. Though something tells me it costs like 12. 6? Really? Only 6. I'm gonna unequip you. That doesn't give me 6 slots, fortunately. I might be able to upgrade that to only use 5. It's either gonna be 5 or it's gonna be 1%. And I don't know which way it's gonna go. Mysterious Glowing Gem is now too expensive again. I think that combo is going to be what I'm going to go with for bosses. Solely due to the fact that healing on damage is going to be a massive benefit. Yeah, healing on dealing damage is going to be a massive benefit. Okay, I can get a little bit of scrap out of those guys using the very friendly wolf. Yeah, our very friendly wolf friend breaks things armor when I run into an enemy with the wolf active, which is, I suspect, going to be very, very powerful. Okay, let's get up here out of... Yeah, step 1, get out of laser beam zone. Step 2... clear this room, actually clear this room, and make it to the next spot, which is, yes, out the right side past this wall. Okay, I could have made it through there without damage if I didn't try to use the wolf for collecting scrap. The puppy dog. This room is immediately causing me to freak out, and I don't know why. Also, there is a giant conveyor belt along the floor. Luckily, conveyor belts only work if you're not... Or the conveyor belt doesn't seem to care. Yeah, this is a somewhat large... This is a somewhat sizable room here. I'm guessing what I have to do is make it through here without getting hit by too many of the flamethrowers and/or apparently I saw some enemies standing up there also. But apparently I have to just figure out how to navigate to avoid being caught on fire. Which I don't think is actually going to be that difficult. But I want whatever item I saw over to the side. Which I think I can get by dropping down here. Yeah. That's probably just some... Ooh, 5 health. 30 health, actually. One bit of health at a time. We will eventually get through this area. And this whole game. Okay, do not stand on... Or do not get hit by the zappy things. They are painful. Okay, I can make it all the way up to this platform. Yeah, I can make it up to this platform. Where can I go from here? I can make it here. I can make it out this exit. I'm guessing there's also going to be an exit top right. And possibly an item directly below this entrance. That would be my set of suspicions. Yeah, that would be my set of suspicions, is that there's an item... Probably either an item or an exit top right, and then possibly below this, or the entrance into this room. So also, that's a mildly terrifying number of enemies. I still really like the instant dispatch ability. That ability is more than a little bit on the strong side. 1, 2, there we go. Through here, around here, up here. That is a very long ways over. Okay, I'm definitely missing things in several of those rooms. Oh, I have a respite here. And looking at the time, I'm also probably gonna... I also think I'm gonna call the stream here for the day. Thanks for stopping by the stream, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. If I don't say like, comment, subscribe, YouTube keeps me banished to the Shadow Realm. That is, I'm apparently currently banished to. Memories in Orbit tomorrow. Memories in Orbit, more of this, more Ender Magnolia next week. And a new game next week, depending on who wins the vote. Yeah, which game wins the vote. So, yeah, thanks for stopping by, everybody. And hope you have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.